So most photographers seem to think that good clients are found, meaning if they wait long enough or put amazing work on Instagram or something like that, these amazing clients will just magically appear at their doorstep. The truth is, in my opinion, is that good clients are made and not found, meaning we create them. And in this video, I want to tell you exactly how that works. I want to tell you the story of a client who we did exactly that. We turned her into a good client and tell her a little bit about what she said about us. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Richard. I'm a full-time photographer and studio owner. I own this studio along with my wife. We turn over multiple six figures per annum. We're on our way towards $1 million a year, which we're excited about. I make these videos because I establish credibility as a speaker and an educator because I've got visions of becoming a full-time business coach and speaker into my 60s. So let me give you a real world example of how this works. So I'll tell you a story about a lady called, and we'll call her Sarah for the sake of this exercise. Now, Sarah came to this studio as a result of a promotion that we did on Facebook. And the promotion was a very simple one. It's an age-old one. And that is we offered that people could come in, have the actual photography session itself for free. And if they chose to get anything, they're more than welcome to it. But there's more to it than that, obviously. But that's the core offer, okay? And so in our conversations, or in my conversations with her, I should say, she was pretty clear that, she didn't think she'd spend too much. She just maybe wanted to get one or two. And so I want to tell you about how we changed that along the way and turned it into a good client from there. So in my conversations with her on the phone, as part of our booking routine, we ask a series of questions to get them booked in, which is one is, what do you like to drink? And the reason we ask that is because if they have any preferences, then we like to make sure we've got it here. And also what they like to eat, because it's a long day and we feed them, we cater for them, okay? And in her case, she said that she liked Japanese whiskey, which I'll put on the screen, but I'll show you what that looks like. That's that stuff here, okay? And also she said that she had a nut allergy, and I think from memory she was lactose intolerant, I think. So before she got here, we went out and bought that bottle of whiskey that I showed you before, and also the appropriate foods that suited her. Now, these might seem like small details, but to her, or to any client for that matter, when you do that, they interpret that as being, they actually hear and see me. So I think it's a very important thing. Another thing worth mentioning, in my opinion, is not to be cheap if you decide to do this sort of thing. And the reason I mention that is that I've spoken to a couple of photographers who do cater, and what they do is they kind of, I don't want to sound mean, but they kind of cheap out and they'll buy like just Aldi bottles of bubbly wine, if you know what I mean. And that's fine. Like I'm not having a go at Aldi wine or anything like that. But not a lot of thought has gone into it. By putting a little bit of thought into it and customizing this for the clients and treating them like that, I've found that they will reward you. Now, you got to keep in mind that where we're coming from is she's coming in from a promotion, okay? So there's no guarantee of her spending, okay? Meaning she might come in and not spend anything, you know what I mean? And so it's up to us to give her a really good experience and take good photographs that she really wants to buy. I think worth mentioning is along the way, we request what style of photography they like, because we're a boudoir studio. We try to get a feel for their comfort levels, whether they want to do more traditional or whether they want to do nudes or whether they want to do something a bit sort of more risque. But anyway, in that correspondence with her, and she told us that she's a real fantasy nerd, okay, and that she would like to try and do something like this. And obviously, and I looked at this photo, which is highly stylized, and I just explained to her that, now we can do something, but please don't expect it to look like that, because that's a very specialized thing and we're not capable of doing that in our studio. We got to the end of it all, we put her through the whole experience, and in the end she spent $2,500. Now, in our world, okay, that's a moderate sale. It's not the worst sale, it's not the best sale, it's a little below our average, okay? But that's fine. But the point being is that that when she came, she had no intention of spending that much money at all. She had intentions of just maybe getting one or two photographs. And I think that by putting people through the experience, and that's a very overused word in all industries, especially with photographers, by putting her through an actual experience that's customized for her is why we managed to convert her. And you've got to remember where these clients are coming from. We're converting these clients from lukewarm, at the best, traffic from Facebook and Instagram advertising. And then we're turning them into these clients pretty quickly. And the point being also is that we can do it for everyone. What I'd like to do next is give you the framework. I'd like to give it to you in 5 steps and break it all down for you, and how we turn clients like Sarah into good clients, into good spending clients, so that you can do it as well. So step 1 is arrange a phone call. Arrange it via text or whatever, but make a time for a phone call and ring them up and have a discovery call with them. In a nutshell, ring them up, talk to them, Find out what they want to do, what they want to achieve, all that type of thing. Quote them, mention price ranges, give them an idea of what they might be spending, all those types of things. Take them through the series of questions. Find out if they're bringing people in, side note, if they're bringing in people like their husbands or their best mates or something like that, we make sure we got stuff for them as well. Okay, so we don't leave out the people who are coming along. We make them feel special as well. Point being is, you need to make the phone call. You need to get a feel for these people, what type of personalities they are, so that you can service them best. I think it's critical, absolutely critical, to make at least one phone call at the beginning when you're booking them in. And step two is I kind of just touched on this, didn't I? Customize the experience for them. So it's not terribly complicated. Like we don't go overboard with this, to be truthful. Like I said, we find out what they like to eat and drink. That's a really big thing, because what happens is they tell us, to explain that a little bit more, is they tell us in that discovery call that I mentioned before. And then when they get here and then you then produce something like Japanese whiskey or Jim Beam or whatever it is they're into, they're quite taken aback and surprised. And the reason we know it is because we've asked them and then they remember and they go, oh, that's right. But the point being is, because we remember to do it, okay, is what surprises them. And I actually think the more weird, the better, because that way then you have to make an effort to do it. But you can still make it special, like if they say something really generic, like, I just like Moscato or something bubbly or something like that. Tracy goes out and buys those little bottles, I don't even know what they're called, the good ones, whatever they are, that you get like at the theatre, those little baby bottles of Moscato and things like that. And she'll come out and say, look, I've got you down that you like wine, something maybe bubbly, or something like that. And she'll bring out a selection of those small bottles for them to choose from, like you would at a high-end theatre. So that's part of the luxury experience. So you don't have to have something specific to pull this off. Here's the big thing too. I believe you've got to treat every single client like a $10,000 client. This is a really big one. So like in this case with Sarah, she actually verbalized to me that she wouldn't be spending much. She said, I probably only just get one or two. And you've got to remember, a lot of people interpret that as them being cheap, not wanting to spend money, but that's not the case, okay? What I find is that what they're often saying is that they're not confident that they can create a lot of photographs that they'll love, you know what I mean? So for them, what they're actually saying is that they don't think that they'll do a good job and they'll be happy if they can just get one or two. And I found that to be the case with family portraiture as well, because people don't know what they don't know. They don't know how photography works, so don't interpret that as them being cheap. And I've actually found the other thing too is when they say that, that's often a really big buying signal. When they say I might only get one or two, what they're actually saying is that in the back of their mind, they know that they'll probably end up getting more and can't help themselves, and they're just saying that to themselves to make them feel better about justifying booking for a session. Does that make sense? Now, the fourth thing is, I think that the experience needs to be a friction-based journey. Now, what I mean by friction-based is where they've got to do stuff along the way before they come to the studio, okay? And the first thing they've got to do is pick up the phone. That's step one, okay? Step two, you might be sending them questionnaires, things like what allergies have you got? If you're a family photographer, have your kids got any allergies? What snacks and drinks do you want to have them here? Another one might be what style of photographs they might like. You might send, you want dark and moody ones? Do you want stuff that's a bit lighter? Do you want stuff in black and white or color? The point being is you just have lots of communication along the way. And you do want to know that information, but the more important thing is that you are getting them to do stuff. Even if it's just answering emails and keeping you front of mind. Each little thing that they have to do gives them a little bit more commitment towards it. Then the final thing is wow them with the photographs with a really lovely presentation. And don't just flick through on a computer, do a nice slideshow, preferably on a wall. Put it to nice music. Just do everything you can to make it awesome. Have emotional music so they feel something when they see it. I see that as part of the experience and a really big part of the experience that they love. Finally, I just want to quickly read through the review that Sarah left us, the lady we were talking about at the beginning, and I'll pick little pieces out of it and explain to you what's going on. So she goes on to say, I did a boudoir shoot with Thrive Photography, and honestly, it was one of the best decisions I've made myself. From the moment I stepped through the door, they made me feel completely at ease, warm, welcoming, and like they genuinely wanted me to feel amazing in my own skin. So that gets down to the experience, what I was talking about before. Little things, okay, just for example, what I usually do is go and sit on the couch in reception and keep an eye out, and when they turn up, I leap out and welcome them to the car and carry their stuff in, because it's a scary thing, it's a scary thing coming into a strange place to do something like this. So Tracy and I do our best to make them feel welcome. That's part of the experience and giving them a really good experience, okay? It's a little thing, but I say this all the time, lots of little things add up to one really big thing. It goes on to say, what really blew me away, they didn't just go through the motions, they embraced my ideas. I had a fantasy-inspired concept. Instead of brushing it off, they ran with it. They brought it to life in a way that felt powerful, playful, and totally me. And so I can't show you the photographs because I haven't got permission to share them publicly without her permission. But basically, long story short, that photo I showed you earlier, I can show it again now if you like. But that photo is, I did something kind of like that. You know, I did it in a black area. She had a dragon thing with her, which I won't get into. She went on to say the whole shoot was a confidence boot and the photo's unreal. I couldn't even pick just one. I walked away with quite a few. They were all good though. Now, what she said, this is the critical line here. So that was when I first spoke to her. Her original intention was just to get one, okay? Because that was part of the promotion, okay? But by putting it through all this, all those things I've talked about in this video, and that's why we landed with her getting a album, I believe, for $2,500. So I've taken someone who was essentially going to spend essentially nothing all the way through to there by putting them through an experience like this. So let me summarize if I can. This all gets back to, in my opinion, okay, into clients feeling seen and heard. I mean, in an era when people aren't seen and heard, when everyone's put through, through systems and, you know what I mean, through really generic experiences, by us knowing their names and their preferences and what they love and taking an interest in them. Honestly, I know this sounds like a cheesy sales line, but honestly, it's a massive gift you can give people. It's just, you've got no idea. Like, in fact, if you don't believe me, go to our reviews and have a read through. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the whole thing. Look, if this video helped you maybe rethink how you might approach clients, or maybe put your thinking cap on about how you might provide a better experience, I'd really love to hear it. I'd love you put it in the comments, or if you want to, you're more than welcome to just email me. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love you to like and subscribe to the channel. That would be absolutely awesome. It gives me a feeling that the content I'm providing is useful, because that's my goal, is to provide useful content. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Until I see you next time, keep on trucking, have a great day, and keep on smiling. Thank you so much.